Oh, the dedication. Hey, my mic works. Hey, all right. Welcome to the Council Radio Sports Desk. Yeah, we're just shoving it together. You know, it's really kind of sad that we don't have the fantasy football, that cinder block of preparation that we had during football season to base everything on, because we could do headlines and then get into football. You do, okay, well, basketball's coming back and football, and baseball's finishing up and football, and, you know, World Series and football, and NBA championships and football. But now here we are. Football has to be secondary because it's the XFL and it's good stuff, but there are other giant news stories. Hi, I'm Big Daddy Gonzo, seated across from me, matriculating his way across your screen from north to south is Damaz, Matthew Masaracchio. Are you stunned?
I'm here.
You're here.
Hello.
There you go. Oh, hey, look,
Hey.
your mic works too.
Oh, man, that's...
Yeah, we did no sound check before we started.
We didn't have
zero.
to. I know what I sound like. You know what you sound like.
Yeah, a couple of basso profundo morons
Yeah,
talking
pretty much.
crap about sports, but we do have a lot to get to. Man, my beard is just so jacked up. I mean, it's just like, it's a good thing I'm not the eye candy of this place. I mean, I got to put the camera on you and then let the girls swoon.
That is so much pressure.
So much pressure.
Yeah.
What, you're like a friggin' movie star. I hate you. You're so good looking.
My wife said I had a beard issue going. I hope I fixed it for the camera today, but I don't think I did.
It looks a lot better than mine. I look like I should be standing on an off-ramp with a cardboard sign.
This whole bearding, shaving, even washing, I'm getting to the point now.
I enjoy my beard, don't get me wrong, but just I'm having a bad beard.
It's just
day.
so much work. It seems to be getting to be so much work.
It is.
I don't
It
know.
is.
Maybe it's just a lack of patience, I think.
Yeah, well, and people have questioned the beard. They're like, you have no hair on top of your head, but you got all this hair. I'm like, yeah, because this grows better than that.
It's about balance, though, too. Life has a way of balancing itself out. So if there's nothing on top, there's probably something on the bottom.
Yeah, you shave your head for the same reason, too. I've seen the old pictures of you with hair, and I'm like, oh, look, your hairlines are receding
I was
as fast
good
as
till I was
mine.
about 30, 32, 33, and then it was...
I feel your pain.
It started going, hey, how come we can... What's that? Okay, and let's fix this and push this here, and then a little more gel here, and shorter haircuts, and then finally I think I was about maybe 40 or 41. I said, let's shave my head, see what it looks like. And I haven't stopped shaving it since, so...
All I needed was for one woman to say, oh, that's hot. And that's it. That's the end of hair for me forever.
Yeah, my wife says I could never grow hair again. Especially now, if it grew in, it would look like probably the continent of Greenland. Although it's not a continent, but yeah, you know what I mean. It would look like an island.
With a really big bay.
It would
right
just be
here.
a weird kind of, yeah. It would make Gorbachev's front area look like like it was professionally done.
Oh, that is just so wrong. So, hair issues besides hair issues.
Yes.
A bald guy had a really good time last night. The big fight, the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight.
A lot of people talking about that leading for this one being one of the best fights ever. I don't think, was it disappointing? I mean, I didn't get to see it live. I'll watch it today on the reruns and stuff when they show it again. But were you disappointed? Were you a fan?
Personally, first of all, I didn't get to actually watch the blow-by-blow. But I did pay attention online, and I was one of those guys at a party where I was at a birthday luau, by the way. Hi, Ron. Hi, Alita. Happy birthday, Alita. And we're all having a good time, and I'm the guy glancing down at the blow-by-blow feed, kind of like when you watch the feed of a game,
Sure.
going through, going, no, give it to my guy when you're playing fantasy football. I'm watching the blow-by-blow, and I knew for a fact that Tyson Fury was going to win this fight. I knew for a fact, because when he wants to, the king of the gypsies can and is the best boxer, the best fighter on the planet. He really is. He's a very bad man. As we saw in the previous fight, their first fight, he can get knocked on his ass and get up. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen that fight, Tyson.
I saw it,
Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, number one.
Yeah, not live, but I saw it afterwards, and I've read some stuff about it as well. So yeah, no, saw a lot of clips of it. The way his style is, he's a tough man. He's been through a lot too in his lifetime. So
the king of the gypsies. By the way, they fight bare knuckle. The gypsies do. Okay, so yeah, he's a tough dude, but I mean, literally, this guy took a shot from Wilder that you could hear the audio, go, boom, and then took another shot as he's falling down. The first shot took his legs because your head doesn't go snapping back almost every time you really get knocked silly. Yeah. It's your legs. Your legs go crumple right out from underneath you. If they catch you right on the chin, I don't know if you've ever been caught right on the chin. I've been caught right on the chin, made one leg go. One leg, I stumbled. I was like, ha, 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 and I was like, oh, now we're fighting. Yeah. Oh, we're going to fight now. And you've seen me get punched, okay? And what did I do? I took one step back. I went, oh, you're punching me. Oh, okay. But I knew for a fact, because I'd seen Tyson Fury fight before, that he was going to win this fight, because Deontay Wilder is George Foreman 2.0. He just is. He's George Foreman 2.0. It's just a fact, and I'm not ashamed to make that comparison. And he may have similar success as George Foreman did as a professional fighter. He already has.
Is he going to create a cooking device like George said? Because that thing is amazing.
The Deontay Wilder grill.
I mean, think about it.
It just takes over from George, because George is like 71, 72 now. So
I think
he
made
in 15,
over
20 years, when George is too old to be the pitch man, I'm sure, why not?
He made over $100 million from that grill in his lifetime. More than he ever made in fighting, obviously. But can you imagine that? So, yeah. Listen, these fights now, it seems like when the heavyweight division is good in boxing, all of boxing benefits from it.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So when you've got the big names on top that are guys that you can either root for, or the villains, whatever the case may be, the storylines, yeah, when you got talent at the top in boxing, it translates down to the rest of the sport. It becomes viable again, because, I mean, for the last, I guarantee even sports fans, if you went to many sports fans and say, hey, listen, who was the champion last year in boxing? They would have a hard time even giving you the divisions and the rankings. Because boxing,
Muhammad Ali still boxing.
It's not viable. It's almost like golf in a sense, how important Tiger was. And then when Tiger's not in the game, it's almost like there's a void.
There's golf?
And so
without Tiger, there's golf?
And unfortunately, it's in boxing, I think, even more prevalent. But, I mean, pre-Tyson, post-Tyson, whatever you want to draw the line, I mean, yes, there's been some great fights. But overall, where does boxing rank in terms
of
Mike
Tyson still fighting?
Where it's on top of our interest levels, and I just don't think it is. Now, this may help. This will change that. And obviously, the emergence of the MMA and that whole style of fighting and what that's done.
Sure.
But you know what it comes down to? It comes down to who's in charge. And the guy running the MMA they say is one of the smartest businessmen out there right now.
You're talking about Dana White?
Oh yeah, no question. So. Again, it's hopefully it keeps this sort of momentum going. I don't know what the numbers were for the pay-per-view. I'm sure they were off the chart.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm sure, again, that just suggests the popularity is hopefully growing for the state of boxing.
Honestly, it's not necessarily the overall popularity of the sport of boxing. I think that the sport of boxing has a floor that they are nowhere near reaching right now, okay? And they're just, they like you said, with the emergence of MMA, there's more of a competition. But there's four major companies right now. There's four major, I don't know what you would call them, promotions that all have their own individual heavyweight and weight class belts. It's the Lineal, the WBC, and the WBA, and I forget what the last.
But again,
one,
that even more so. That makes it difficult for the average fan who
right.
just wants to kind of keep track of what's going on, because there's so much variables in these different, not in just the weight classes, but in terms of who unifies what belt. I mean, and again, what qualifications?
Last night was the WBC and the Lineal, because Fury was the Lineal and Wilder was the WBC.
Okay, but
so you have two of the four,
right?
And this is now Tyson Fury has held all four belts.
But my question is,
he has two at a time right now.
How do you compare the values of these particular classes other than just through the titles themselves? I mean, is it who they represent? Are these almost like, I want to say like compare it to music, but are these like the music moguls? Like I'm represented by Shook Knight. I'm represented by, and is it that sort of thing where they all have their own champion type of thing?
Think of it more of along the lines of professional wrestling. Okay, throughout the history of pro wrestling, we've seen multiple companies, multiple promotions on TV on
like
different channels.
WCW, for
Well, yeah,
instance,
the WCW,
or ECW,
right.
or whatever these other. Okay,
Right.
I understand.
And now you have AEW.
Right.
Okay. And they've all been, they've all bashed themselves up against the monster that is the WWE right now.
Right.
The WWE even got smart, and instead of having 2 shows and then a highlight show on Saturday night, which is what they did for the longest time, okay, 2 shows, but with the same wrestlers, same personalities, same people on both shows. They split the brands. Now there's 2 different brands. They're on 2 different networks. Mm-hmm. They're all on the WWE network. All right. I mean, they're on like Fox and USA.
Yeah.
That's NBC and Fox, 2 major networks.
They're doing pretty well.
Vince
He's
is
doing it pretty well.
Still a genius,
Yeah.
and the dude's almost 80.
Yeah, they're killing it.
But what you see is 4 separate companies, but they have agreed on occasion to work together. They're promotion companies. That's essentially what they are. They're promotion companies. They're not the NFL per se, but they are. Let's liken it to soccer. Soccer has their various leagues. Football has their various leagues, various major leagues. Mm-hmm. Some leagues are bigger than others. Okay, the South American League is big, but the European Champions League is big, and the Premier League is huge.
I just wish again it was a little like there was a chart, like they can give us like, okay, guys, like here's your boxing chart, and this is this division, and this is this class, and this is what this title represents.
Well, there used to only really be 2. And that would be the WBA and the WBC, the World Boxing Council, the World Boxing Association.
Right.
And those were the 2 majors. And I guess the WBC was based in Europe, and they handled Asian promotion fights, things like that, because they've had fights in Mumbai, and they've had fights in Baghdad. And they've had fights in Africa, and that's generally the WBC. The WBA is continental United States, South America, but now all 4 companies that they have gone global, of course, because it's the global market, it's the global economy, and you want to reach everybody. You want to have a fight in Beijing. You want to have a fight in Tokyo. You want to have a fight in Sydney. You want to have a fight in Honolulu.
So to me, it almost sounds like a money grab. Like if there's not enough to cover, there's more ground to cover than there is actually these organizations that run these classes or whatnot, and therefore they're getting their name out there.
That's the reason why I say they have a floor that they haven't hit, because let me tell you what, at one time, professional boxing had like 6 major promotion companies. Okay? 6. I mean, and you had 6 major companies, 6 belts. That got a little confusing and watered things down a little bit. Okay? You were never going to have a unified heavyweight champion if you had 6. It's hard enough now with 4. So that's the reason why I say once it gets below 4, down to 3, or back to 2 being the WBA, WBC, okay, then you're going to start to wonder how close to the floor they're getting. But it's not, because some of these companies, they specialize in lighter weight fighters. And that is huge in Latin America,
of course, right?
Because Asia.
That's the demographic of the style of fighter.
That's where all the little people are.
I mean, technically,
they're all small.
Right. So
you want great big fat asses, bald heads with swinging haymakers, and trying to kill each other.
And I get that. And in some of these countries, boxing is still a national sport. I mean, that's their sport, and I get that. I'm not minimizing boxing, but I'm just saying in terms of where it is that they are to just the common fan. Let's say in our demographic, my demographic. Certainly over the last landscape in my sports life, the last 25 or 30 years, other than Tyson, and again, I can rattle names off, champions in the middle class, but guys that grab you, that you're just, no matter where you are, you're going to sit and watch the fight.
Right.
Somewhat similar to maybe how last night was for some. That sort of thing has been missing for a while, and maybe it's the fact that it's just watered down through the different classes, like we mentioned. And again, if they get back to where they were, the heyday of boxing, when you hear people talk about that, then there's some sex
Wilder,
there.
Like I said, he is the George Foreman foil to this Gypsy King English lunatic, who he is the most interesting character in pro boxing, in professional sports. He is the most interesting character to come down the pike in
Yeah, they mentioned that
decades.
he's struggled, dealt with
Decades.
some mental health issues.
Mental health
You can
issues.
see that, I think.
He smoked weed.
Yeah, he does a lot of things.
He took painkillers.
Yeah.
He didn't get arrested, but he was detained and it was covered up. He had a drunken episode where he was yelling and screaming, but like I guess his girlfriend or his wife came to a pub and punched him dead in his face like a bunch of times. And he just held his hands up like this and tried to like stop her, but she tagged him.
I'm sure they
And
trained
there was
together.
a big, incident that was early in his life. I mean, there's all kinds of rumored stuff.
I'm guessing
but
she wasn't
he
a small
is
woman
right.
either. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But
Helga.
being a guy who came up and earned the title King of the Gypsies, was that some bare knuckle fighting, dude? Okay, that's a bad dude.
And imagine him, because I've seen pictures of him where he's like 60, 65 pounds heavier. So imagine
He's
the weight coming behind.
6'8",
I know, but
dude.
imagine him being 6'8", 320 and hitting you like that. I mean, it would be.
Well,
it'd be
Deontay
pretty
Wilder knows
big.
because he knocked Wilder on his ass 3 times last night.
Yeah.
He busted Wilder's ear up so bad. He busted Wilder's eye up. He busted Wilder up so bad that Wilder's corner threw in the towel.
Yeah, I saw that.
Threw in the towel and taking 0 away from Deontay Wilder. Tough dude. Because I saw highlights. I saw the video clips of some of these punches being landed. He was getting killed. He was getting hit by punches he didn't even know were coming.
Yeah, he threw in the towel. Now
Okay.
imagine this: if Rocky had thrown the towel in, Apollo would still be alive.
Right.
But that clearly didn't happen either. So that's what ego gets you.
Well, I'll say this. Teddy Atlas had the best assessment, and he had this assessment before the fight. He said Deontay Wilder can't box. He's a puncher. He's a brawler. But he can't box. The Ruiz fight, he was trailing on the card. Ruiz had him flummoxed. Ruiz had him outpointed through 6 rounds. But the haymaker came.
Yeah.
The hammer came down, and that's all you need.
Well, Ruiz was that Latin style boxing in a big man's body, and
Right.
obviously advantage is going to be Ruiz. In that situation, being the boxer. So yeah.
Oh, no, Ruiz was
Yeah.
he played defense,
Yeah.
great, and he kept coming at him. Okay, and that's another thing that Teddy Atlas pointed out, and I believe. No, I didn't get a chance to point out because we really didn't do any pre-fight analysis. But I was telling people, when Tyson Fury said, "I'm going to go right at him. I'm going to be moving forward." Why? Because Deontay Wilder is a bully when he gets in there. He's a bully. Okay? He comes at you. He is always the aggressor. And he couldn't handle the aggression. He couldn't handle the technical expertise. I mean, I saw it in the first fight. I've sat through about 8 Fury fights. He is, for a big man, and I mean a really big man, for a big man, he is technically excellent. He is a smart fighter, and he's not afraid to take chances because he's got this great big, bony basketball head that can take a shot.
Yeah, he can get hit.
Okay, he took, in the first fight, he took a couple of Wilder's best shots, and he laid there on the mat, and you could just see him. He's laying there on the mat. All right, let's go. And he got up and got back in the fight like nothing.
Yeah, Carl chimed in.
Like nothing.
Hey, Carl. Almost 17 million viewers last night. So
Outstanding.
yeah, one of the largest, I guess, since the Lennox Lewis fight with Holyfield in '99. So that's a lot of viewers.
And actually, I want to get the YouTubesters in here real quick. Sorry, I've been slacking. We've been pontificating a lot and not getting anything done.
Brett's
we're
on there
okay
too.
now.
Good morning, Brett.
Lazarus has written.
Yes.
Oh, Brett Morris.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like Lazarus.
Brett's in the room.
Mr. Morris.
So yeah. So anyway,
He's saying hello. Yeah, we have a writing session later.
I guess if you watched the fight, then you were pretty happy about the fight last night.
Yeah, I could see. I could see from the highlights. It was pretty accurate. 7 rounds, 7-round TKO.
Beat down.
He he beat up the bully.
Just one more thing about the fight. Has there been, or is there a villain between these two? I mean, typically, are both guys really likable outside of the ring type of thing? Or
Well, okay, as a wrestling guy, as a former pro wrestler, it wasn't that good. But I wouldn't have been surprised to see Vince McMahon's name on the production. Executive producer Vince McMahon. Okay, they had the grandiose WrestleMania intros. Now, a lot of boxers, especially these big main events, they like to do big intros.
Sure.
But I mean, grandiose,
Yeah.
being carried out on a litter with a throne on it. Wilder with the masks and the
this is their moment in the spotlight.
And it took on a WWE. I said that when they first booked the first fight. I said Wilder versus Fury, brought to you by Vince McMahon.
It even sounds
You can't even
good.
make wrestling names up.
Yeah.
And that's their names.
I know it sounds just.
Okay.
Its optics are right on with this. Yeah.
And I'm sure that somebody from Fury's camp has talked to somebody in Wilder's camp about getting some of that sweet Vince McMahon WWE money. That's a whole lot of money for very little work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
it's all prepared.
Fury made some good bucks going over and doing that super show over in Saudi Arabia. He made some good money.
Right.
Some good money. I could actually, if I dug, I could probably find an approximate number. But
So both these guys are
seven
likable
figures.
guys. They're both on the up and up.
Yeah.
I mean, again, maybe Fury not
can't
so
find,
much.
Listen,
He's
you can
kind of a
always
loose
find
cannon.
haters.
Yeah.
You can always find haters.
Sure, I'm saying, but again, just the smart
Okay.
fan, the smart guy that wants to kind of pick a side, and get involved a little bit. I mean, something like that. So,
well,
good for boxing. Hopefully, this is
great for boxing.
this is another platform that they can build upon. And biggest question, I guess, is there going to be a third one?
Yes, there's almost definitely going to be a third one, especially with those kind of numbers with 16.8.
So, yes, almost
Or
17 million.
18 what?
Yeah, 16.88 million, almost 17 million. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money
That is
too.
a whole lot.
Yeah.
And by the way, Fury is in bed with the WWE. He is doing work with the WWE. He's planning on going back and working more with the WWE. And I'm sure it's going to be a great post-retirement job because it's really funny to see some of the stuff that he did in the run-up, because you do run-ins and you do face downs and you talk on the mic and you da-da-da-da-da and you wag your finger. And he's a ham. Fury's a ham. Did you see him? He sang after the
Yeah,
match.
he likes being in front
He
of the
sang
camera.
American Pie.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate that song.
Well, good.
But-
You know what? Then the boxing needs a guy like that. They need
But
somebody
that's
else.
also a gypsy thing because
Yeah.
gypsies sing to celebrate, and he is like I said, he is a guy with he's got a great personality to him. He's got an infectious optimism and enthusiasm. You could see when he was doing his promo work, and he'd go charging down to the ring and climb in, and dude's 6'8", he's huge. He looked the Big Show right in the face, and they had like the whole punch for punch deal type, right?
Yeah.
He a huge dude, and he goes down there, and you could just see him smiling the whole time. It's like, don't smile, you're supposed to be mad. Don't smile. He's just having the time.
He's got
of
it
his
right.
life.
Then. He's got it figured out.
He licked blood off of the shoulder.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
a gypsy. I'm keep telling you.
I know, but that could kill
Read
him,
up on gypsies.
essentially.
Read up on gypsies,
All right. I'll
ancient
find some
gypsies,
time.
modern gypsies, not much. They're very, very spirited, and gypsies are hardcore.
Borderline vampire-ish stuff, I guess.
They're reviled as thieves and hucksters and stuff in Eastern Europe. And he's one of the gypsies, and and they got witches, and they use voodoo and black magic, and all that. No, they're I've known a few gypsies. They're fun people. So I'm more of a Tyson Fury fan now than ever because of the whooping he laid down. He proved it. Okay, the first fight, Wilder took it to him, and there were a few times that Wilder survived Fury's onslaught. But he figured it out. He goes, I got to box him. He doesn't really box. I got to come at him, and I got to be aggressive, and I got to box him because he can't handle it. And he proved it. Simple as that. Teddy Atlas was right. I had a feeling So I was right. I'm always right. So you're done with boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
done with boxing?
It worked. I mean, maybe the next fight I'll get a little more involved.
Do I need to trigger you?
If Fury was, was cracked up,
do I
everything
need to trigger you?
Yeah, trigger me. Get me started. You don't have to. I'm ready.
You have some. All I have to do is show the Houston Astros logo, and that's it. It's over.
Hey, if you haven't heard, they cheated. Big scandal going on. Yeah, but nothing's really going to happen to the players.
Well, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. You just pretend I'm here and talk to my microphone. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, get a cup of coffee, mow the lawn. I'll be right back.
It's going to be hard to not hammer them every single opportunity that I get.
Sons of bitches.
But what I do want to do at least is maybe bring things to light that you don't hear about, you don't see about, so that it'll kind of, I don't know, maybe give it a little more depth so that people will understand exactly what they did. And a story came out about Clayton Kershaw, and he's known as old school, and we always have this argument: old school, new school,
and a playoff choker.
Again, this is a title he's gotten. So this whole old school, new school philosophy, and where do you stand, and unwritten rules of baseball. Is it old school to choke in the
playoffs in the World Series? Is that old school?
This is what is old school. His approach.
Love you, Clayton.
You know that there's been a lot of pressure with baseball in terms of speeding up the game. So Clayton has taken upon himself, as I'm sure as many pitchers have, that through deception. Let's paint a scenario. Okay, you got a guy on first base. The unwritten rule in baseball is that if that guy gets to second base, there's a chance he's going to steal the sign. Everything we've been hearing about, stealing signs, okay?
It's just done.
These types of things, when it's okay and it's accepted and everybody's doing the same thing, it's not stealing. It's just part of the game. So what pitchers will counter with is they'll throw multiple signs. They'll throw 3 signs, 4 signs, whatever it is to counter the deception, and it's not an issue anymore, okay? It's no longer stealing signs.
Right.
But what he would do is, in that case, to keep the game moving along, is when there's a guy on first base, just throw one signal. There's no deception needed. Why would you need deception if somebody's not cheating? Okay, so catcher and pitcher. Catcher drops a 1, pitcher's throwing fastball. Catcher drops a 2, pitcher's throwing curveball. Okay, that's pretty well known. Everybody knows what the signs are.
Right.
Unfortunately for Clayton, what he didn't know is Houston was stealing that first sign because, again, he didn't feel like he needed to be deceptive and protect himself against the Steelers. The Astros, who were Steelers. It's
Steelers.
It's so bad. There's so many things. There's so much of a ripple effect that's been caused by what they did. And I think that's why you're not going to see any of this negative sentiment die down anytime soon. Because anytime you open up the sports page, it's another player giving another perspective on how it's hurt them either in their career. Players they know have been affected in terms of their career. This one kid, Mike Bolsinger, who's got the lawsuit now.
He's suing the owner of the Astros.
Well, now he's included him in the lawsuit as well. But he's talking about suing the team because he felt like that, through a series of a couple of games against them, he got knocked around and his career is over.
All right. Hang on. Did this guy suck before he got beat up by the Houston Astros?
It's funny you say that because I went back and looked at some of his numbers. He was brought up in the Diamondbacks organization, okay, and he was around 2010 is when he started.
A former Diamondbacks pitcher. Oh, and yes, they're known for their excellence.
So he had a very good college career and a very good single A, went through the rankings, double A, triple A. His ERA hovered around 3.5, which is very respectable. So he pitched for a long time.
For the AL,
yeah. He pitched 3 years in the major leagues. He pitched 1 year prior to this Houston Astros things and had a decent year. Pitched 27 innings the year he's part of this whole scandal and got lit up. His numbers went through the roof. His FIP, xFIP, ERA, all the numbers were, let's say, out of whack. They didn't really fit with where his career had gone to that point at every level, even in the majors for the 1 year he was there. Here's the difficult part. It's so hard to quantify something like this. Let's just use him as the example. It's when you're measured in a sport at a success rate of failing 70% of the time, okay?
Yeah, you hit 300, you're an all-star.
How do you quantify in situations where, it's not as simple as saying A plus B equals C. Just because a guy throws it and just because you put the bat on it, the result is going to be either a hit or an out. There's just too much variable and noise involved. But I will say this, the advantage of knowing what pitch is coming is astronomical. And you're hearing players like Stanton come out and say, I hit 80 home runs. again, tough to put numbers on, but not tough to understand that if you know what pitch you're
would
getting.
hit 80 home runs. He would hit 20 home runs really fast.
Yeah, and then get hurt
he would
for 2
stub
weeks.
a pinky toe on his coffee
That's a
table
different
and be
story.
out for 2 months.
Right. But the point is that yes, the advantage is huge when the batter knows what pitch is coming. Okay,
Yeah.
but you still can't say for sure that even though you know it's coming, it's going to be a hit, a double, a triple, whatever it is. That's going to be a negative impact on whatever it is that you're doing as a pitcher.
Who had the quote that the hardest thing in the world to do is hit a round ball with a barrel bat.
Yeah, with a round object.
With a round object.
Yeah, pretty much.
And try to direct it someplace.
If you ask all of the other sports players, and you'll see this sometimes in like the celebrity contests and stuff like that, where you'll see a football guy, even hitting a softball, which is being thrown at you underhand 10 miles an hour, and the struggles. Yeah, it's definitely one of the hardest things to do. So it makes sense that batters are trying to gain the advantage when everybody's throwing 1,000 miles an hour. But back to Clayton's defense. At this point in his career, he's not the power guy. He's not the guy that can throw at 96, 97. He relies upon, like most pitchers do, on deception.
5 different pitches.
It's elevation changes. It's not just speed changes as well. So it's a lot of different things these pitchers are trying to use to get ahead of the batter. So, again, if you know what's coming, there's not much deception. You lose that angle. You lose that advantage of trying to, again, change the zone, change whether it's going to be inside, outside, it's going to be breaking, curve, slider, whatever it's going to be. I mean, as a pitcher, you have 4 pitches for the most part.
Right.
And if they know what's coming, it is a huge advantage for the hitters. So,
how bad did Kershaw get smoked by Houston when he played against them in the World Series?
I don't have the numbers. I know he got hit like most pitchers did.
Yeah.
The example we give, and I give, is like we did last week, is when Washington knew what was coming and they took countermeasures in place where they used the wristbands and they had multiple sequences. Well, Washington didn't lose a game in Houston. So, again, is it just because they knew the signs? Probably not, but there's enough there to suggest that it was a huge reason why.
Should they be criticized for using counterintelligence and not bringing that to light as an organization? Because that's kind of what forced an individual players like Fiers.
Why don't
to
you
come
ask
out.
him how he feels about this now with all the death threats he's receiving?
Yeah, it's like, where are the death threats for the Washington Nationals organization? Because they knew.
I have a problem.
They knew, and they enacted counterintelligence, counter stealing or counter cheating.
All right, life lesson now. I'm so tired of the word snitch. We talked about it's just unfair.
I hear they get stitches.
It puts so much pressure on the person who's trying to do the right thing. Now, let me just use this as an example. And we talked about this before break. You see your neighbor's kid going to another neighbor's house, okay? And then that's the last that you see. You're maybe the last person that saw your neighbor's kid. God forbid, 2 days later, the kid turns up missing. Now, do you not say anything? Do you not go to somebody and say, hey, listen, I got an idea where your kid may be? When do you draw the line in terms of the value? Now, I'm not saying kidnapping a child is the same as what happened in baseball.
What if the kid's an asshole?
Well, then it's different. If he's pissed in your yard before, then you recommend he
you'd still go
to the
knock on the
2-story
door.
on the corner. Yeah, spend
You'd
some time
still
in their
knock
yard.
on the door, especially if his dad's all right. You knock on the door and go, hey.
My point is this.
I saw your son's an asshole, but I saw him walking the house next door 2 days ago, and he hasn't been seen since.
We've heard all of the backlash, all of the negative stuff that's come out of this cheating scandal, guys potentially losing salaries,
careers,
lots of things. So what happens if Mike knows about this and he's the only guy and he waits a year, okay, and then it comes out, okay? Now, he hasn't said anything. What kind of pressure does he get now for not saying something?
No.
Okay, for coming up, Mike, why didn't the hell you say something sooner? Well, look at all these people that got hurt. Look at all these guys that lost their careers or worse. Who knows?
Right. Well, in this instance, Washington Nationals, an organization, versus Mike Fiers,
Mike Fiers,
an individual
who, by the way, we somewhat know personally.
Yes,
okay,
we've
met him a
spoken
few
with the man
times
personally.
So.
He's a good guy.
This is not a
sweet guy.
It's just an unfair, and this is life lesson. What I tell my daughter all the time. I said, if you run across a situation that you run into that just your eyeball test is telling you something's wrong, if you can't fix it yourself confidently, then you go find someone that can help you fix the situation.
Right.
That's not a snitch.
No.
That's called doing the right thing.
Right.
Okay. So it's not like you're out looking for people's failures and preying upon misfortune. That's not what we're saying. That's not what Mike Fiers did. Okay.
No.
He recognized something as being woefully wrong.
And we both thanked him for doing that.
And maybe had the insight, unlike some, to understand what some of this damage was going to come up. And what had happened, something's got to be effing said, and he did it. So there is no shame, Mike, in what you did. And for other people out there that have other things that are going on, you know what? Get to the front of the line and make it. Again, if you can't fix it yourself. Now, should Mike have gone up and punched A.J. Hinch in the face, and said, what the hell are you doing? And then how would he be looked upon then? Would that have been, maybe I would have acted like that, but of course I'm not Mike Fiers. But the point is that something's got to be said, something's got to be done in a situation like this where it's such a big deal and so many people have gotten hurt by this. So kudos to Mike.
Well, and thanks for taking the hit. But the point I'm trying to make is an organization versus an individual. Okay, there has to be at least some sort of shade thrown the Washington Nationals' way for having that information. Okay, knowing what's going on, enacting countermeasures, counterintelligence. I mean, we're getting into spy crap now. Okay, but not saying anything about it. But then it takes the individual to come out and say something about it. When you have a whole organization,
I understand,
a whole team.
But here's the thing, though. In saying what I said, I'm not saying that I don't understand the side of when you have that locker room mentality where things stay in-house and you don't rat out a family member or the mafia themes and all these other stuff. I get it, okay? And again, there are times that applies, okay, where the term rat applies. It just doesn't apply here, okay? And because we know what's happened in this situation. Mike knew a lot more. A lot of people knew a lot more, and he spoke up. But again, from the Nationals' perspective, I understand their side of it too, not wanting to speak up, not wanting to be labeled and having to go through the scrutiny and pressure that Mike's going through. And again, more kudos to Mike for doing it. But I can't fault the Nationals for only protecting themselves. Because, again, I've been in that situation, too, where I've made that same decision, where, I've hunkered down and I've protected what's important to me instead of getting out in front and saying, being the guy to say, okay, this isn't right, alert the media type of thing. So I understand both perspectives, but I don't agree with the pressure, the name calling, certainly the death threats.
Death threats are stupid.
that Mike's facing. It's just not fair. It's not right. It doesn't send the right message, and it's there's no room for it. So
no, it's stupid.
And more people should get behind him in terms of that, certainly, and they are, in terms of just protecting what he did, what he said, who he is as a person, and let's just focus on the victims here and getting their situations remedied and preventing this from happening again, because it's clearly true that nothing's going to happen to these players. The players are going to somehow walk from this, and other than the court of public opinion and the scrutiny that they definitely will face, then they're going to catch a lot of heat this year, literally at the plate and at the field. They deserve every bit of it. There's not one bit of scrutiny and shame that they take from this, and it's all well deserved on their part. So well deserved, yeah.
So tell us how you feel about it.
Take some shame in your shame. It gets me how there's just no. I just haven't seen any apologies from the players. It's been more denials. It's been more, this isn't who I am, and this is not what caused us to be successful. I guess they have to prove that this year. Wouldn't it be a kicker if they came out and won the World Series this year again? Three or four of the guys had career years. They hit like 330 as a team, and everybody's like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, I would say they're highly motivated.
I would say that, and you know what? If that's the lesson they learn from this, then good for them. This isn't about keeping a man down. This is about getting it right so that these things don't happen again, so that people learn from these sorts of things. Even the guys that committed the crimes. You want these guys to not make these mistakes again. So we all better from that.
But they will.
Well, maybe they will. But hopefully they don't. That's the lesson here. So,
I'm trying to find.
I see you feverishly working over there for some XFL stuff.
I am. I'm trying to get.
All right. I could talk some NBA stuff if you want.
Well, you can start talking about NBA stuff because it's been a very interesting restart after All-Star Weekend.
Ben Simmons caught an injury last night. back.
He pulled the back
Well,
out.
here's the thing. It's somewhat serious. They're going to have an MRI done. He's had these back spasms throughout the year. He's missed some time. Not a lot. He's missed a game here, game there, but I guess they're going to be a little more cautious this time around. And they realize they're on a road trip, and they can't win on the road, so it doesn't really matter if he plays or not.
Right.
Basically they're going to do an MRI, and he's a day-to-day type thing until they figure this out. So.
Listen. He did the thing that we've all done from time to time in our lives, where we're just in the middle of doing a thing. We could be walking across the room, and then all of a sudden,
big problems. But you know what, though?
You always have this look on your face.
Yeah, you're like, oh, wow, where'd that come from? I have that pain every day, by the way,
Surprise.
somewhere. This seems to be a lower body issue, though, because a lot of times I know when my back starts to hurt, it's because of a lower body issue. Hamstrings are tight or glute issues or stuff like that. So
we know a few former NBA players that frequent our place of work, and if you ask any of them, they are habitual visitors to the chiropractor because they ran on wood
miles
for 20 years.
Yeah. Well, longer. You got to remember.
Yeah.
These kids are playing in middle school and in high school and in college
years,
and
30
pros
years, long time. Well, with LeBron James, it's going to be 35 years. Because he's been playing since he's 6 years old. And he's 104 now.
No, he's 35, I believe.
Yeah, but they ran on wood for decades. Chiropractors are very, very popular in basketball training rooms. Very popular. So you're going to have lower back problems because you're jumping really high and landing really hard, and so back issues. I mean, look at Larry Bird. Larry Bird, classic example of back issues. You even had you had LeBron James had back issues during the championship round. You've had. So back issues with basketball
it's common.
players.
Very common.
Very common.
But in that case, for me, I know the knock has been on the Sixers this year in terms of their off season more so is their work ethic. They were a little caught up in the fame. These guys, maybe there's some training issues going on.
The process got out of control.
It just gets to a point where in the NBA or in any sport, if you want to get to the next level, you have to commit to what it takes to get to the next level. And it's not just on talent alone. It's not just based upon
subvert the ego for the team.
But because I've seen that guy Simmons to me the couple times, I've seen him twice now down here, and he just both times he seems like the most fluid guy in the court, the fastest guy in the court, the most athletic guy in the court.
Can't shoot a 3-pointer to save his life.
Again, it's a
3-pointer league.
I know it is.
His damn center shoots 3-pointers better than he does.
I get it. But point guards also don't get 8 rebounds a game. So this guy athletically is a Jason Kidd style player with a little better athleticism and certainly some better ball handling.
Well, you can compare him to Magic Johnson all you like.
Right.
I don't dispute that whatsoever. But the thing I do dispute is, unlike Magic Johnson, if Magic Johnson was in a 3-point heavy league, which they had 3-pointers back when he was playing,
right,
but they weren't 3-pointer heavy. 3-pointers were like a desperation shot back
You'd
then.
see 10 a game. Now you're seeing 40 a game, 35 a game at times.
And if it called for it, guess what? Magic Johnson would have been a competitively excellent 3-point shooter. Period.
Okay.
As it was, he was dangerous anywhere inside of 20 feet, and he was probably the greatest creator in the paint that anybody has ever seen. And with the exception of Pete Maravich and maybe Bob Cousy, one of the greatest fast break point guards you've ever seen in your life. And that's another thing that Simmons is really, really, he's that good. You get transition fast breaks.
Yeah,
he finds the guy, or he takes the
really
shot.
Good. Yeah, he's a distributor. That's
but
where
he doesn't take the shot outside the paint. He'll drive for a jam. But instead of pulling up and hitting that 3, or dishing and then getting in position and then posting up or getting in position to take that 3, which you see a lot. That's the Steph Curry move, which is bring it up. Shoot the ball. Push the ball over to whoever, because the real thing is he's going to go get to his spot and then get the ball back and put it up. And that's what made Steph Curry magical. And that's the blueprint for a lot of point guards now.
Yeah, they're
Not
bigger.
that guy.
They're more athletic. Simmons is certainly he's bigger than all the other point guards too. He runs the floor at 6'8" or 6'9", I think he is.
He is a point guard in the wrong era.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, whether his shot develops or not, it's more work ethic based. I think that's why you're hearing some of the issues they're having between Embiid and him. Locker room issues. Maybe it's the coaching not being able to handle what they've got there. Because again, when you stack up their talent. Through the trade, they went out and got shooters, which they needed, okay? So now they've got shooters coming off the bench. Obviously, when Embiid and Simmons are on the floor at the same time, they're two of the best guys on any team, on any lineup, any night.
Right.
So if it's not talent and it's not your lack of ability to score off the bench, then you have to start to point to other things. And then you start to point at other things like, okay, what's the mental makeup of the team? What's the relationship between the coaching and the players? And those are the sorts of things that matter just as much at this point, because the team is a different team on the road. They've lost their last 5 or 6 games on the road. Now last night was Milwaukee, so that I guess they get a pass. But they lost recently, I think, against Detroit, who's an inferior team. I think they even lost against Atlanta, I think which is an inferior team.
Atlanta has come out of the All-Star break on fire.
They're young and they play hard, and that's the difference.
Streaky.
Is they give you that every night. But those are two teams that Philly should have never lost to, certainly not both. So there's issues in Philly. There have been issues in Philly. Now they have injury issues now with one of their stars. So it's a problem for Philly. They need to get this right. There's 25 games or so left down the stretch now. They need to be in the top 4. They need to stay in the top 4 so they can at least have home through the first series or two in the playoffs. But I don't think they're the team to beat in the East at all, other than Milwaukee. I don't even think they're the 2, honestly.
Well, being a Miami Heat homer, which I am, I would love to see the Sixers in the first round of the playoffs. I would love it. Please stay at the 5. We'll slide to the 6, no problem. A little 5-6. You want home action, no problem. Okay, because I've seen the Heat do nothing but eat them up.
Yeah, it's got to be 4-5. It'd have to be 4-5.
4-5.
Yeah, it's got to be
full
that.
Strength. One guy on, the other guy on, both guys on, doesn't matter. Eat them up, eat them up. I mean,
that would be a great series.
3-1 against them.
That would be a great series. Yeah, it's they match up well. The Heat made, I think, Jay Crowder. That's huge. And Dragic is having a phenomenal year off the bench. They're playing well.
Both those guys, it's almost like a hockey line. Okay, it's almost like a hockey line. Spoelstra brings out 3 more guys.
They're gritty too. And you mentioned about in terms of how good Magic was getting to the rim. This is a few years ago now, maybe 2 years ago, I saw that they had a finishing stat. Sabermetrics, of course, has all kinds of stats.
Course.
But a finishing stat, which was based upon rate of success in terms of getting to the rim and finishing. And Dragic was number 1 in the league at finishing. This is about 3 years ago. Now, I'm sure maybe it has diminished to some degree. He's an older player now. But when you got a guy like that in the organization for how long as he's been, as well-liked as he is, as talented and as good as he is, let him lead my second unit. And this Miami team is going to be formidable in the playoffs. So, especially if they've got home.
Second unit, dude.
Spoelstra has done a fantastic job. So.
I mean, we're talking about Dragic, Hero, Crowder, and Iguodala as a second unit, and then mix and match whoever you want center-wise.
Think about what the Heat have had to do to put this team and the time it's taken.
Miles Leonard.
Whenever LeBron has left situations, he left Cleveland the first time, and certainly he's had to go to organizations. They've had to strip the team basically to bare bones, and then put all this salary and structure. It cripples the team once he leaves. It crippled the Cavaliers. It crippled the Heat. But the Heat responded quickly. They drafted well.
Riley.
They developed well. Obviously, Pat Riley in charge. And Spoelstra, again, just doesn't get enough credit for the speed, the ability, the talent level they're playing with right now, and how good they are as a team, both sides.
He is one of the 5 best coaches in the NBA.
Not even debatable at this point, and you're hearing that from other coaches too.
Nick Nurse is another guy up in Toronto. He does not get nearly enough credit for that championship, but now look at them. Look at them now.
14 straight, 15 straight, I think now it is. So,
look at them now.
Yeah, they're playing pretty well.
You know, not that I'm a Toronto fan, okay, but I'm a fan of Nick Nurse because Nick Nurse, everybody was looking at him going, okay, how soon until he gets fired?
Yeah.
When Kawhi Leonard leaves, there, your Magic Championship unicorn left. How soon until you get fired? Everybody's like, start the clock on Nick Nurse. Like, oh, you start this clock on Nick Nurse. So
I think that it's pretty clear to me. I think the 4 teams now are obviously you've got the Lakers and you got the Clippers in the West. I really want to root for Utah because I do think that they also pull off a big trade. They're young and they're playing well. Denver's also young and they're playing well. Jokic's been on fire the last 2 weeks. Pre-break, a few games. Post-break, he's averaging like 26, 10, and 8 over the last 6 or 7 games. So Denver's been playing well too. Those are the top 4 in the West. But I think when it comes down to Lakers and Clippers, and in the East, I think it's going to be Bucks and Raptors. And
boo.
Again, I just don't know if the Bucks have enough. As good as Giannis is, and as good as he played last night, he's matchup proof. The guy is potential triple-double every night.
They should have kept Crowder.
In last year's NBA Eastern Conference Finals, Middleton had 15 points one time in that series.
Yeah, well, he's so definitely one of several guys that has to step up.
They need a second scorer, and if they don't get a second scorer on a nightly basis, they can't have Middleton go off for 25 in Game 3 and disappear the rest of the series. You can't have Bledsoe go off for 30 in Game 6 and disappear because it may not be Game 6 for the rest of the series.
Right.
It will be almost LeBron-esque for Giannis to repeat the performance and take the next step.
Well, that's what it takes.
If he gets a little help along the way. So, again, a lot of pressure on Giannis. I just don't know if he's that kind of guy. You know, I just
neither do I.
Don't know if it's in the makeup. But we'll
Are the
see.
Lopez brothers enough?
We'll see.
The Lopez brothers also they are destined for a WWE future.
Oh,
have you seen their wrestling videos? It's hilarious.
Yeah, in the hallways there with their choke slams and all their stuff. It's really fun. Yeah, they're good stuff.
Oh, they are just so.
Got to keep the hair
goofy.
though. And Brooks should shave his head, and Robin should grow the way out, whacked out hair.
Go with dreads.
And they should that would be a great pair.
It's coming. I'm sorry. They
coming.
They look like they smoke weed. They really do. They just like, and it wouldn't shock me. By the way, as we transition to football, have you heard? The NFL will no longer suspend players for use of cannabis. THC is off the table.
Really?
Yeah, that's one of the
Wow.
It's one of the arbitrary things that the NFL has done.
That's a huge story.
It's a big story.
Wow.
And they may even make it part of the new CBA. So that's going to be fun.
So it's official. There's no more testing for cannabis at all.
I'll have to double check the story, but
I will tell you why.
But
I will tell you why.
Why?
Because the CBD oil industry, whoever is going to line up and run that show in the next couple of years, is already running it now behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Getting it in place because somebody's going to run CBD, believe me. They understand that that's going to be the next healer in the NFL because of the magic that CBD oil is now presenting itself.
Because you have to keep the product on the field.
Yes. So in order to do that, and in order to, because, I mean, again, CBD on its own is beneficial, but you see a lot of the CBD products are being mixed with THC. And I think they're doing it not only for that feeling, euphoric feeling, but I think of the healing properties as well. And I think they're going to be silly to close that out because healthy football players creates healthy football product, creates healthy football revenue.
Until we learn how to clone them at halftime.
Which is coming too in a few years. But it's smart. It's about time.
What was that movie where they cloned the quarterback at halftime? The quarterback got hurt. He got like a broken neck. They took his body into the locker room before halftime. He comes out in the second half and he's all brand new. I'm trying to remember the name of that movie. Maybe the guys in the chat room. What was the name of that movie where they cloned the quarterback after he broke his neck during the first half, and then they took him in. They took him in and they cloned him. God, it's killing me. I can't remember the name of that movie.
I don't know.
Anybody?
Help us out.
Anybody? Crickets. Yeah, but sure. Clone a quarterback. So along with that, the XFL had week 3.
Yes.
And so far, your prediction and my prediction that the quality of play will get better as the season goes along because they didn't have a preseason.
Yes.
Now you're starting to see some of the cream rise to the cream of the crop rise.
Yes.
Okay. A la Mr. P.J. Walker. He had himself a day yesterday. He and the Houston Roughnecks, they went into Tampa and survived a bit of probably one of the more back and forth games that I've seen so far.
Yeah, a lot of offense in that game.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
And they were going up at 34-27, and P.J. Walker, a young man who never really got much of a look in the NFL. He did not survive the numbers game somewhere. Did his best Patrick Mahomes impersonation yesterday, and he seems more Mahomes-esque. Throwing on the run, throwing sidearm, throwing three-quarter sidearm, throwing the velocity and the release, the quickness of the release.
Yeah, some of these guys are going to be able to showcase their talents and their abilities and stand out.
Right.
I think it's advantage offense now as the season progresses, because even though we did say that the talent will get better, I think you'll see glimpses of that with some of the players, and I think you'll see that because through attrition, unfortunately, like we talked about too, is that hopefully they've got a good talent reserve level of players, because those guys get hurt, and it's the NFL and it's the XFL and it's physical and it's a lot of contact. Guys are going to go down. You're going to want to get hopefully the same level of talent to replace the guy that's been hurt. So unfortunately, I think it's too early to tell as to why he had such a great. He had 200 yards yesterday receiving. I mean, he had a big day yesterday.
Oh, Cam Phillips?
Yeah, he had like 180. He had a big day. I saw early on he had 2 touchdowns, like six for $160 or something like that. He had a huge day. But in any case,
you want me to pull up exact stats?
No. I mean,
I can do it.
I just think if you see some outliers in some of these numbers, you're going to have to start to look at some of the teams they're playing, some of the matchups, and make assessments on what they look like moving forward. Because again, now from a fantasy perspective, which I'm trying to do, it's really hard because the projection models that the companies are using, I don't think they have a lot to go on. It's so hard to predict what's going to happen in these games. I'm seeing Vegas totals of 47 in one and 55 in another, and look at this one, 34-27. One game last week was 13-9.
Check your stats. I gave you some stats.
8 for 194 and 3 touchdowns.
10 targets.
I mean, it's just massive. That's a huge day. That's a huge day on any level, college, pro, or the XFL.
And they had 2 receivers that averaged over 20 yards a catch, over 20 yards a catch.
Yeah, so big chances
nice.
Throwing the ball downfield. Again, optic-wise, it looks pretty good still. More power to the XFL. I hope they keep this going because it's football. So at least you got something to watch on Saturday and Sunday.
Sammy Coates out there proving why he's playing in the XFL. Can't even. He got 3 targets and only 1 catch.
Yeah, well,
but it's like
it's supplemental football. Okay, it's an opportunity for maybe 1 or 2 of these guys when it's all said and done to maybe get another shot.
When your completion percentage is 75% for 306 yards. 3 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, I watched most of that game, that Houston Roughnecks game. I'm fascinated by P.J. Walker. I think the young man deserves a shot in the NFL. But with the influx of all the quarterbacks that are coming out this year and all the guys that are holding on, the kid's never going to get a chance. He's just not. It's just the talent pool is too deep, too varied, too many political factors, especially with quarterbacks. You know that as much as anybody.
Right, but I will say this. In these situations, talent always shows itself.
Sure.
I know there are stories where guys get bad shakes and things don't work out their way, and maybe a coach leaves that was his coach, went to a different school. Okay, things happen. I get that. But overall, talent presents itself. It shows itself, and it gets seen, especially now, where these kids are being watched from when they're 10 and 11. They're on radars from when they're in middle school all the way through. And this kid was probably no different. He's probably the best kid in his middle school and probably even the best kid in his high school. But then as he got to the next level, he wasn't the best kid anymore. He was in the group. And then certainly when you had to take the next jump, he was in a different group. So, again, can these guys play in the NFL? Maybe. Okay, but remember, everybody that's in the NFL deserves to be there. Everybody that's in the XFL is trying to get a job in the XFL. So there's going to be a huge difference in talent. And I think some of that will show in some of the gaudy numbers sometimes. Now, again, I'm not breaking game tape, so I'm not seeing guys break down coverages and guys miss assignments. I'm sure it's happening. But I think in the next few weeks as the offenses start to click, it's definitely going to be advantage offense because they know where they're going. The defense has to react. And when you're chasing other things like talent, like learning as a team and replacing the guy next to you who you've never played with, it's advantage offense. So you should start to see, which and XFL probably realizes this too, games like this where it's 34-31, 27-24, where competitiveness comes into play, more scoring. I think they want that to be the league style.
Sure.
So that's more appealing. First few weeks, you didn't have that. You had some lower scoring games. So hopefully the offenses stay progressive, stay aggressive.
Right.
And with the point scoring systems that we talked about, I'm rooting for the XFL.
Right. Well, we both decided that, well, at least we noticed that the two probably elite defenses in this league belong to Dallas and Washington, the DC Defenders and the Dallas Renegades. But yesterday, a young gentleman with some NFL experience, Mr. Landry Jones, he also had himself a little bit of a day, 30 for 41, 274, 3 touchdowns. But once again, probably the thing that got him ignored by the rest of the NFL was he throws picks. He did that with the Steelers.
He was a Steeler and threw some picks, yeah.
And he threw some picks.
Yeah.
He couldn't stop. But you had you had Cameron Artis Payne, one of his 2 running backs. Cam had himself a pretty good day, both receiving and rushing.
I'd like to, and I'm going to try and find
19
this.
19 touches.
I'm going to go look at, let's say, the top performances from each team. Top performances on defense, top performances on offense, and look at those players and see where they are now. I bet you those players are probably a little bit older. They are the guys that have the NFL experience, the guys that obviously have been to that level mostly because they are able to perform at that level. So obviously that's one of the reasons why they got stints in the NFL for however long it was.
Well, Cameron Artis Payne is a guy, he's had 4 years in the NFL. This is his 5th season.
Landry Jones too. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing, now again, I'm flipping this only from a fantasy perspective in terms of targeting players. I'm going to be targeting players now that are guys that were NFL guys, guys that showed experience in NFL that were at that talent level.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly, I think that's going to be some sort of an edge. So I haven't done that to this point. I've just been looking on team usage and how important those guys are to those teams and stuff like that. Schemes. I'm not doing that for next week.
Well, today we have the New York Guardians versus the St. Louis Battlehawks, which, by the way, Battlehawks is one of the greatest names
I love
ever.
that name. Anything with battle in it, and then throw like a badass animal behind it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a great name.
Battle Cat,
Battle
Battle Dog,
Hawks.
Battle Horse, War Horse.
Battle Dragons.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a 3:00 start on ESPN.
Yes.
Of which I'll be able to watch a little bit of it. Which I plan to watch a little bit of it because I have Chat Fight later on tonight at 6 p.m. Special 6 p.m. show live. We have an event to attend tonight,
Nice.
which you can't because you have a
Gotta
previous
work.
engagement.
Work.
But then you have the DC Defenders versus the Los Angeles Wildcats at 6 o'clock, and that's on Fox Sports. Okay, ESPN, Fox Sports, they spread the love around a little bit. Rumors are, and the numbers are, ratings-wise, the numbers are down a little bit. Of course, the hoopla dying off, but attendance numbers holding steady and rising.
Good.
Some places are more that we're going to see with, today you got a lot of major market, 2 major market teams, 2 major market locations going on today with New York and LA. So we're going to see if they show out, see if the people show up. I like the fact that the attendance is improving week to week.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good sign because we have to have, I know that TV ratings are important. That's where you sell. You sell the most. You make the most money.
Yeah, that's the merchandising side of it for sure.
But the way to generate that interest is to get people in the seats, people in the stands. Okay, so I don't care if you're in LA and you're in that stupid stadium that the Chargers were in, where it only holds 29,000 people. Pack it.
Yeah.
Pack it.
Sell the tickets for. I had the same argument
They
for the
sell theirs
Marlins
$20.
Stadium.
They're $20.
Sell them for a friggin' $1. Put people in the stands.
No, they haven't. But they haven't had to do that yet.
I'm just saying, in the upper bowls in these stadiums, I use Marlins stadium. There's 8,000 people in there. The stadium is empty. It looks ridiculous. Why?
Yeah, it was 35,000 seats.
But sell a $5 ticket. Put people in the seats. Isn't the optics sometimes just as important as making the money?
They give away a lot of tickets.
But they should just I'm telling you, there's so
But
many
they've
better
gone past,
marketing
they've
ways.
gone past selling $5 tickets. They give away a lot of it. Have you ever been to a day game like during the summertime?
Yeah, we go.
Okay, were you there at the one game where they had 15 summer camps there?
Yes, I was there
Yes.
for that game
You-
exactly.
oh.
Yes. Yeah, the Phillies were in town. Yeah, but you know what though? There's people in the stand. Who cares? You hear yelling and screaming. It's a
Large,
stadium.
colorful patches of little kids wearing the same color T-shirts.
You know what I'll do next time is I'll bring
and
crickets.
you couldn't get any ice cream
and I'll
because all those
let
kids
my
were in line
crickets
for the ice cream.
hang out with the other crickets, and they can have a good time. It's just put people in the stands.
Great. Now I'm going to get emails. Gonzo hates children. So I don't hate kids. I really don't.
You just don't like them.
Listen, when I'm at a baseball game and there are 17,000 people there and 15,000 of them are screaming summer camp kids, and that's what Major League Baseball, but particularly the Miami Marlins do. You want asses in those seats, and it doesn't matter if that ass fills out the seat entirely or not. It could be a little tiny kid's ass.
Exactly.
Sit them all down there. But just like the Dayglow pink and the Dayglow green shirts and
now you're sounding like a hater.
Obnoxious
Anyway,
patches of children.
You got to get people in the stands. I hate seeing tarps covering seats. It's a bad optic.
Well, the XFL is they're selling these tickets.
The
There's
XFL
not a lot of giveaways.
They're doing it right. The XFL is doing it right.
That's the best way to draw interest.
Yeah.
And I implore all football fans, give it a look, give it a watch, especially if you're a football nerd like we are, because they give you access. They give you access to the coach calling
the cool
plays.
Part too, yeah.
Okay. Yesterday you had Bob Stoops cursing at halftime. We got that. They had to put him on a 7-second delay, but we got the beep. You know, they're dropping, and on the sidelines, you hear a few F-bombs and N-bombs and whatnot. You know, they're football players.
Yeah, people.
You know,
they're people. Okay.
There's passion, and there's fatigue, and there's, emotion. And
careful about their football players. They're people. We say those things too.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not keep the stereotype
Not me. I
alive.
don't drop N-bombs. You drop N-bombs?
No, I don't. That particular word I don't.
Knew it.
But, it's whatever. They're words. People, it's easy. Relax.
Yeah, just as long as nobody steps up to the camera and just start, I'm going to F and F and mother F and F. No. Vince didn't send all those people, media consultants, to coach you guys on how to talk to the camera. You didn't get all that free coaching for nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but I think it's good progress that, sure, TV ratings are going to slip, but as long as you pack those stands, even in the smaller stadiums, pack those friggin' stands.
Yeah.
Get people in there. I'm about ready to go up to Tampa and catch a game because I miss football.
Let's not draw direct comparisons to the NFL. It's not fair.
No,
not
right now. This is
if you're going to do that, you're just going to disappoint yourself.
It's the D League. That's fine.
It's football. It's if I was at a park and saw guys playing flag football, I'd want to get involved. Why? Because I like football. So it's the same thing. If you like football and it's on TV and you have an opportunity to watch it and root for some guys, some of the names you're familiar with, you've seen them in the NFL, and some of them may even get back. So it's a fun product. We can get involved with it. I like it because there's a DFS angle too. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to enjoy the XFL. And it's a bridge gap is what it is.
Sure.
So just enjoy it. Watch it. Be a part of it. Help it grow.
Isn't the combine next week? Next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
I'm going to be away next weekend. I won't be here for the show. My stepson is getting married.
Show's canceled.
I'll be in North Carolina where it's going to be 28 degrees 3 of the 4 nights I'm there.
I'll be sleeping in.
Yeah, so because he's getting married. Congratulations, Mitch, on your and Courtney on their upcoming marriage.
Oh, I'm so glad you got that in there.
Yeah.
Marriage.
So
12.
So yeah, I do believe the combines are next week, and 3 weeks after that's the draft, I think.
Yep, and March 16th. March 16th is the free agency, beginning of free agency,
right.
And the draft is in April.
I said next week is already March, and
crazy but true.
3 weeks after that is about. Is it April?
I think it's in April.
It was the end of March.
I'm almost positive.
Anyway,
it's
coming
April.
up. It's coming up. So again, XFL Bridge Gap. We got a month until we start talking about football every day again.
Yeah, they rattle our cage every month with an extra thing, and then all of a sudden
the Brady
it's
thing is
minicamp.
still out there. Where the hell is he going still?
Right.
Tennessee keeps surfacing. Is where he's going.
You're starting to see cuts and acquisitions now, though. You're starting to see some players move around.
Yeah.
I've
heard Rivers to the Colts.
Josh Doxson got signed by the Jets, which he was a WR2 with the Redskins.
Let's talk quarterbacks though, because Rivers is out there. He still wants to play. Breeze has said he's coming back with the Saints. I think that kind of handcuffs them to a degree. I can't see
Teddy Bridgewater has been tied to the Chargers. Closely, the Chargers seem to be all about him.
There's still some moving parts, so there's a lot to talk about.
I think the Dolphins are going to sign Teddy. They're at least going to make him a very competitive offer.
Teddy?
Yeah. Dolphins are going to sign Bridgewater, and if they sign Bridgewater, you can forget about drafting Tua Tagovailoa Vailoa.
Okay, but now Teddy's got to understand, and I guess the Dolphins would tell him this, if they're drafting Teddy, they want him to be the starter for the next however many years. They
4, 5?
Teddy, if I'm Teddy's camp, I'm saying, okay, I'll come to Miami, but you're not going to draft a quarterback, are you? Because that just puts me on the clock. And I've been on the clock my whole career.
Right.
So I'm not buying that. So he's going to go somewhere where he's going to start. Right. So if the Dolphins want him, then it's a commitment.
Yeah, because then they have to use those 5 draft choices that they have in the first and second round.
Which I got to be honest.
To get at least 2 blue chip offensive linemen to put in front of him.
If they were to do something like that, I think they would. Because again, let's say even at the quarterback, that whoever they get out of the draft, is it going to be on the same level at this point as Teddy? I don't think so.
Not even close.
So then why would you not get Teddy, knowing you've got him even for the next 6, 7 years, however long it is,
and let's
and
think
just
about this.
get crazy in the draft and just build a team both sides of the line.
Exactly. Let's think about it this way, okay? If you were to sign Teddy Bridgewater and you were to retain Ryan Fitzpatrick, trade Josh Rosen for a mid-level draft choice,
Whatever you can get from him. Doesn't matter.
Then you could take a flyer on a young quarterback in the 4th, 5th round, okay? Because this draft is rife with quarterbacks. Rife.
Next year's
you're
going to
see some guys. You're going to see some guys where they've been chirping about, where Mel Kiper Jr. has been chirping about how, this guy is a 1st or 2nd round talent. He's going to go in the 4th round.
Yeah.
Why? Because he is the last of the top 10 quarterbacks, and teams have other priorities, and some other teams have already drafted a quarterback. So you're going to see guys that slide, and that's when you take an opportunity to draft a young guy. Teddy doesn't need to feel threatened by a 4th round draft choice.
He won't go anywhere if that's the case. Listen, the Dolphins, if they're smart, in my opinion, now that Teddy's on the table, I don't understand. What I don't want for the Dolphins to do is trade up, lose picks to go get one of these quarterbacks, because that would be perhaps one of the worst things they could do. And I'm afraid, because they may feel confident because they have so many frickin' picks, that they may decide to do that. They got 36 picks this year in the draft.
April 23rd. It's Thursday, April 23rd is the draft. We'll both be working. And,
Thursday night,
and if that happens, you are going to see me.
Isn't there a song about that? The day the music died?
Right.
That could happen again.
That's what Tyson Fury sang in the ring last night.
The day the day
the music died.
That's funny.
You will see me climb down out of the DJ booth and scream no. I will be so upset it won't even be funny, because that is the worst thing that they can do. That's the Deion Jordan. It's Deion Jordan all over again.
Yeah.
Okay, the stupidest Jeff Ireland move of the entire Jeff Ireland era. Trading to get up to go get Deion Jordan to play keep away from the Philadelphia Eagles because he figured Chip Kelly was going to take him. Chip Kelly had to almost laugh himself till he almost pissed his pants. It's like, what? I know how bad that kid is. I wasn't going to pick him. I know he's a lazy pothead. He knows. He knew how bad that kid was. But no, Jeff Ireland was looking for the big splash, the big acquisition to replace Jason Taylor, and he failed. So no, you do not draft. You do not trade up for anybody. 5 is fine. If you sign Teddy Bridgewater, how about this one? Here's a good one for you. Sign Teddy Bridgewater, trade down. trade down. Catch one of these teams that wants to go after a quarterback and trade down.
You can easily get rid of one of your late first-round picks and get 2 more second-round picks.
No, you trade your first round. You swap with somebody further down and pick up an additional pick.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You could trade
swap down to 10.
Yeah.
Swap down to 12.
But you have 2
because
first-round picks.
You're still going to catch an offensive tackle of the caliber of
But what I'm
Christian
saying
Wirfs.
is that you have our pick. You have the Steeler pick at
Right.
19? 19? Okay.
Yeah.
You have what, 4?
It's 5, 19, and 26.
Okay, so what I'm saying is you can get rid of, let's say, 26 or 19 and get like 2 late second-round picks for that 1 first-round pick, and even get more depth on your team.
Well, that has to be a situation where you have to see how players are sliding.
Well, I'm saying, but again, you have so many options in this year's
Right.
draft, and I just hope that one of them is not to trade up, lose picks for a quarterback that you don't need.
Good God, no.
Yeah, it would be a horrible thing for the Dolphins. But
Another thing that I'm seeing that a lot of these experts, these so-called experts, I love these people, I really do. I mean, everybody's Mel Kiper Jr. now. They're doing their mock drafts. They have the Dolphins with either the 19th or the 26th pick, picking some sort of running back. Whether it be the kid from Ohio State, the kid from Georgia, they have them picking some sort of running back, which I find to be ludicrous. Okay, because as we've found out, running backs are kind of a dime a dozen now. And there's easily 8 blue chip running backs in this draft. 8. So why wouldn't you wait until the end of the second round and see who's left? Bet you it's Jonathan Taylor.
yeah.
Okay. Bet you it's DK what's his face from Ohio State. Bet you they're there at the end of the second round. Why? Why would you go after a position? It's a need position. Don't get me wrong. It's a need position, but you look at the inexpensive free agents that are coming out that are going to be available, and the dearth of young running backs coming out in this draft. How would you justify spending more than you have to prioritize them after the first 5 picks or the first 4 picks? It has to be 5th on your list of priorities.
And that many early round picks, your offensive line, defensive line could
Ding,
be
ding.
so much better than it is now.
Ding, ding.
And there's no reason why that's not when you're moving in a direction. I don't want to call it a rebuild, but that's what it is. I mean, I hate the term, but yeah, you're trying to make your team as good as it possibly can, as fast as you possibly can.
Ding, ding.
And you do that by building the interior of your team. And
right.
And they're in a position with that many picks to do it. So
you trade down to the 8th, 9th, 10th pick and pick up either a second or a third rounder in this draft. They really want to get up there and get that quarterback. Get a second rounder. Now you got 3 second rounders. And then you have either the 8th, 9th, or 10th pick. You're going and getting the kid Shazon from LSU or Matos from Penn State. You're going to get an edge guy. Everybody's like, oh, you need a quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. And then you go in the 19th pick and you get a guy like Wirfs or the monster kid out of Houston, the right tackle there. You go get them. Okay? Now you have addressed with your first 2 picks 2 major needs on this team. Mm-hmm. With your first 2 picks, major needs. Yeah. More of a major need than your need for a friggin' quarterback. And then you come back at 25 or 26. If you really feel like speculating, if you didn't go ahead and sign Teddy Bridgewater, if you didn't go ahead and sign a major or make a trade for a major free agent, because you've already got 2 decent quarterbacks. One guy's a project. The other guy knows what he's doing. Mm. I love Ryan Fitzpatrick. More Fitzy.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you're going to go for an upgrade or you're going to go to an expansion of the talent in the QB room, okay, and you go the Teddy Bridgewater route, you don't even need to dream of drafting a quarterback until the 3rd or the 4th round. You don't even. Now you're just going to get a camp arm, a young guy to develop. That's all you're going to get. Mm. That's all you need to get because you have an experienced backup behind a rising star or a comeback star. Your quarterback room is set. Trade Rosen.
Yeah, that's the blueprint. But
trade Rosen, draft a rookie in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah, in a few weeks, I guess we'll find out.
Build the team.
Makes sense. I mean, that seems to be the blueprint. But again,
and then we don't need Trevor Lawrence next year.
quarterback is the most important position on the field. Okay,
So I'm telling you, signing Teddy Bridgewater is the key.
right. And in this instance, knowing what Teddy Bridgewater is, and then comparing it to where you could be if you took a quarterback, no matter if it's any of those 3 or 4 guys they've been throwing around. I think you're at worst at the same level now, if not maybe even a little bit ahead with Teddy. You seem to think much more ahead. Again, it's hard to say because rookie quarterbacks now come in and are very successful because they're ready and they're pro-style offenses. And any of these 3 guys coming in, I could see them leading their team to good years if they get into the right spot. But in your situation, the Dolphins situation, with that many draft picks, you can do everything. You can make the right decision at quarterback. You can build the pieces around him to make sure that he's successful. And you can keep a plan on the burner moving forward, knowing that next year there's still going to be a slew of quarterbacks that are coming out into the draft next year. And if you're in a position where you feel like you still need one, at least you've taken the steps to build the important parts of your team now.
They've got 2 first-rounders next year.
And then worry about the quarterback position next year.
Yeah.
So, and again, be a part of that system or that transition to get to the next level. So, again, hopefully Dolphins make that decision. I kind of feel like they will. I like the new coaching. I like his mindset. I like the clean house mentality.
They flipped the staff just about, though.
Because I think, again, the guys that are in the position calling the shots are getting it to where they're comfortable and where things are going to work, finally, for the Dolphins. It hasn't been like that for a long time, as you know.
Yeah,
so,
I understand it, but they flipped a lot of the staff. They just recently lost their wide receivers coach. He got hired to be the head coach of Colorado. Okay, and that kind of speaks to, because we've lost 3 staffers that went on to be head coaches in
that's
college.
A plus too. Yeah.
Okay, so that speaks to how good that staff was and how good that they were working with, a bunch of, let's face it, Uber drivers, guys who should be playing in the XFL next year. So they've had a lot of turnover now in that staff. We're really going to see how good Flores is, because now he's going to have an improved talent base, but an unproven staff. There's a lot of people that are, new to working with each other on this staff, so it's going to be a very interesting offseason for him. It really is.
I just want to make one reference to the chat room. Inside the Jackals had made comments about the fact of, it's tough to support the team and what Jeter's the promises. I get it, and I'm on board too. I'm all about calling out when there's wrong. But if I were to decide on whether or not I'm supporting something based upon how I feel about something, I'd never go to the movies. I'd never watch the news. There's so many things. There's certain restaurants, somebody pissed me off, I wouldn't go back there. I mean, eventually you have to decide. I feel that if you enjoy something, and if you want to be a part of something, you get the opportunity, you can afford to do it, whatever the reasons are. And if you just love baseball, for instance, like I do, going down there and making the suggestions and keeping baseball viable for baseball's sake, not for Jeter's sake. I mean, Jeter doesn't need my approval or not. He doesn't need your approval or not. Jeter's going to do what Jeter does, and his group's going to do what they do. But again, if I still want to be a part of it,
guy.
If I still want to be a part of it, and still enjoy it, doesn't mean I'm not going to go down here and scream in the Brinson zone. And I get it, 100%. But still,
the Brinson zone.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Oh God, that guy has just got to go.
It's phenomenal. But the point is that, again, you'd have to live under a rock in order to stay around and do the things of the people who don't either offend you, piss you off, disagree, all this kind of stuff. So, sell these $3 tickets and get people in the stand. Do whatever you got to do, whether it's kids in summer camps or it's the guy selling roses as you park in the first parking lot you see for $20.
And listen, to respond to the Jackal, inside the Jackal's head, Jeter is trying to do what the Houston Astros did, which was pretty much purge the entire team and then start over from scratch and build around a few superstars or a few young stars. So the next time you're at a Marlins game or you're watching it on TV, listen for the sound of banging trash cans. Who knows? Maybe he's trying to duplicate the entire process.
And the bad taste in our mouth, unfortunately, is because the Marlins have done that so many times. They've started over so many times.
And I want to say it's almost like I'm a battered spouse, and I want to say this time it's going to be different.
Yeah.
This time he really loves us. it's going to be different this time. No, it's not going to be different this time.
Not. It's probably not.
And I, for one, I'm tired of tripping and falling and hitting my eye on the door. My eye, I tripped, I fell. And no, domestic violence is not funny. But I will say that as he is progressing in gathering prospects and really building that farm system up, because he's done an incredible job of that.
Well, it's
through the draft and through acquisitions.
We'll see. But the Marlins, up till about 2 years ago, were the worst rated farm system in all of baseball.
3 years ago.
Where they were just before he got here, leading up to when he got
just
here.
before we got here.
Yeah, just before
he
got
like
here.
We've been here forever.
No, him, Jeter. I'm saying the group when the team was sold. So
right.
For many years, so it takes time to become the worst at what you do.
Right. And it takes time to become better.
Yes, it does. So we'll let the cards fall where they may, and then we'll make assessments based on that.
Right.
I don't want to say he's doing this, he's doing that until I've seen it, because the team is still not good.
He made a bunch of Moneyball moves this off season with
we'll
the players that he picked up.
I think I saw them at 65 or 66 wins at Vegas this year. I'm going to have to recheck that, which is a marginal improvement from last year. Again, I know you can't really assess a team and their progress just based on wins, because especially where the Marlins are, and especially when you have teams that cheat. So, it's really tough to assess a team's value these days. But, I mean, listen, Jeter is one of the most successful baseball players of our generation, and will go down in history as one of the best, greatest baseball players of all time. There's no question about that. You just hope that some of that success can transcend into where he's doing now and where he is now with the organization.
Right. Wait. Back to the Jackal. The Jackal's going off, and I agree with some of the assessments that the Jackal's pulling out here. The farm system, but you have to understand the time gap in the farm system. He's got great instances where that farm system that sucks, that produced MVPs and produced Jose Fernandez, who could have been a Cy Young pitcher,
right.
And along with Stanton, Yelich, and Anderson.
Right.
Yes, the Marlins fan support is terrible. Of course, they're terrible. They don't. We're talking about a farm. We're talking about a fan base that's been screwed over 8 times.
We're all. I mean, the wound is open. It's still open for baseball.
Yeah.
I get it.
And they're still.
Now, when they do rate, and I say that they were rated the worst organization in terms of development, it's not just in terms of when the final product gets on the field.
Michael Hill sucks.
It's total assessment. It's assessment on every level. It's assessment in player development. It's assessment on the scouting level.
Hill's not doing the drafting now. Hill has to pay attention to the scouting department, because one thing that Michael Hill was very, very stubborn about is like, I got my own information. I know how to do this. And that really hasn't played itself out very well. So
the reason why this sits with me so poorly, and we've talked about this before, is because the Marlins still made money. Okay.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, revenue sharing.
Teams make money when they're bad, and again that takes away the incentive to get better. So but again, when they were rated through that process, and they were, again, you have to put guys in order, and the Marlins were last. I mean, does it matter if they were 25th, 27th, 28th? I mean, they were bad, and they were bad for a long time, and it didn't matter to some. So hopefully it matters now, and hopefully now Jeter and the organization that he represents has some of this going in the right direction.
Sure.
But
the Jackal brought up something really great. Michael Hill is no Dave Dombrowski. Now, Jackal, isn't Dave Dombrowski? He's unemployed.
Currently unemployed right now. Yeah.
I would love to see Dave Dombrowski come back to Miami. I mean, him and Carl Barger, they built a franchise from the ground up that won the World Series in 4 friggin' years. 4 years. Okay, I mean, Carl Barger never gets enough credit, because everybody like, Carl who? He was only the president of baseball operations and the guy that built the franchise.
The Marlins have had some smart baseball people come through the doors.
Dombrowski,
but
genius.
They've had some bad ones too.
Horrible.
And ownership has been bad. And again, there really hasn't been an incentive to grow baseball in Florida. They clearly showed you that by where they put the stadium. So, it was a rush job, and it was something that, again, they needed funding for. Just imagine now, let's say now it's been 20 years, but let's say even if they had waited 2 or 3 more years and built the stadium, which they could have done that, they still would have gotten a franchise, and they could have put it down there in Sunrise, which would have been the perfect marriage. That whole area.
The timing of the situation, baseball said essentially, the window is open. Okay, you have to put a team down there now, or we're going to put a team somewhere else.
Well, they failed. They failed the fans. They failed South Florida because they could have had that stadium in a better place, in a better location.
Parkland.
That could have been more accessible.
Parkland's off the Sawgrass Expressway.
So much money out there.
Oh, my God.
They failed. They failed miserably.
All right. I can sit here and moan about the Marlins all day, and I really – Jackal, you know what? We're at the Jackal on. If he's local, I want him over. I want to talk to that guy. Yes, Jackal. Yes. All of the above. Don't get us started. He's on this. He's on.
I
this
get a baseball buddy. I love it.
It's great.
I love it.
It's great.
I love it.
Jackal, you're invited back. Well, I don't think we're going to be on next week. I don't know. I may go on without your ass.
Go for it.
I know about football, but don't forget, Jackal. Is that a friend of yours or a friend of mine?
I don't know.
And so, Jackal, you got to send us some info.
You're a friend of mine now, but yeah. I don't know who you are.
Send us some info. Send it to let's see. Gonzo Radio Show. Yeah, Gonzo Radio Show at gmail.com. Send it over there. So come let us know who you are and what's up, and we'll make a correspondent out of you. You're a smart guy, and I like that. We need some more smart people. Right, Carl?
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
Not you, Carl. Jackal.
Oh, he knows Kev. Oh, he knows the Idaho Jew.
No,
okay, good.
All right, cool.
Wow, you know Kevin and you know sports.
Wow.
He's one of Kevin's. I think he's Kevin's other friend that knows sports.
He has another friend.
Yeah. Well, I'm his one friend.
That's
that
what I'm
knows
saying.
sports.
He has another friend.
He has two.
Okay.
Well,
I know Kevin too. I've seen him a few times. I would be Kevin's friend.
He's all right. Okay. Well, listen, guys, we're going to wrap this thing up because if we start talking about baseball, we're going to be here all day.
We never got the aliens or anything.
It'll follow you right into aliens.
2 weeks we're doing aliens.
Yeah, and then you're and then your wife is going to jump in the chat room and go, okay, that's enough.
Time to come home.
Time to come home. I'm hungry. Feed me.
I got to bring my sauce home today. Can't forget.
And don't forget your shirt. Where's your shirt? You better fold it up on his bag, of course. Yeah, you're not anal at all.
No.
All right. So of course you can catch the Maz at
MLB Joy Us
on which platform?
Instagram.
Until he gets a TikTok.
Do you know, I actually had thought about that for a second. I was like, yeah,
TikTok?
Instagram.
Instagram?
I didn't know where I was.
Yes, because he occasionally posts on there.
Yeah.
I'm teaching him. Trust me, I'm teaching him. Of course, you can catch me, Gonzo Radio Everything, and I mean Gonzo Radio Everything. Gonzo Radio Sports Desk, at Gonzo Radio Sports Desk on Instagram. Gonzo_radio on TikTok. Gonzo Radio Show, the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk on Twitter, on Facebook. Catch us at all of those. And if you're so inclined, at 6 p.m., we have Chat Fight, which is a drinking game that has a podcast. Not the other way around, because, oh, my God, I've never drank so much. I had to stop drinking alcohol. I had to switch to coffee. Because they
can drink a little bit, can they? Yeah.
I had a case of Yingling last week in the refrigerator. I've got like 3 left.
Wow.
I didn't drink any. Yeah.
Good
so make sure you check out Chat Fight tonight at 6 o'clock, special 6 o'clock time. And we will be at the Mad Robot Brewing Company tonight. The network is showing out for a viewing of The Funeral by Jim Patterson and some hilarious stand-up comedy hijinks, including, I think I'm going to go on and do 5 minutes.
Nice. Good luck.
Yeah, and make people yawn.
Good luck.
So on behalf of myself and the Maz, say goodbye to the nice people.
Goodbye, nice people.
We will see you guys, if not in 2 weeks, we will see you next week at 11 a.m. every Sunday, except for when the Maz is out of town doing. Where are you going again?
I'm going to North Carolina.
Brr. All right, see you guys next week.